2 weeks ago, I was at my daughter's soccer game when the power went out across our entire county. What started as a minor inconvenience turned into a 72-hour nightmare that completely changed how I think about blackout preparedness. While other families were scrambling in the dark, digging through junk drawers for dead flashlights, I realized I was just as unprepared as everyone else, despite thinking I knew about emergency planning. The experience was humbling and eye-opening. Watching neighbors trying to keep food cold with bags of ice that melted within hours, seeing families with small children struggling without basic necessities, and realizing how quickly modern life falls apart without electricity made me understand that most of us are living one power outage away from serious problems. But here's what really got my attention during those 3 days. The families who handled the blackout best weren't necessarily the ones with generators or expensive equipment. They were the ones who had specific, affordable items that solve the most critical problems that arise when the lights go out and stay out. I spent the weeks after that blackout researching power grid failures, talking to emergency management professionals, and analyzing what actually matters during extended power outages. What I discovered is that there are 11 specific items that can transform a blackout from a disaster into a manageable situation, and most of them cost less than what you'd spend on a single restaurant meal. Item number 6 on this list literally kept one family's medication cold for 3 days without any power, potentially saving someone's life. And item 11, it's something that costs under $10, but provides a capability that most people don't even think about until they desperately need it during a blackout emergency. Here's what makes this information so practical. These aren't theoretical survival scenarios or doomsday prepping situations. These are real problems that happen during actual blackouts in normal neighborhoods. And having the right items means the difference between struggling through a crisis and maintaining your family's comfort and safety. Before we dive in, I'm curious, have you ever experienced a power outage that lasted more than a few hours? Let me know in the comments what your biggest challenge was, because understanding what actually goes wrong during blackouts helps us prepare for what really matters. Item 1. Battery-powered lanterns. Let's start with something that seems obvious, but most people get completely wrong. Battery-powered lanterns provide area lighting that transforms how your family functions during extended blackouts. During our 72-hour outage, I learned that flashlights work for specific tasks, but they don't provide the ambient lighting that allows normal family activities to continue. You need hands-free area lighting that illuminates entire rooms so people can move around safely and families can maintain some normalcy. The mistake most people make is buying cheap lanterns with short battery life. Quality LED lanterns with long runtime become absolutely critical for extended outages. Area lighting maintains family morale and prevents the anxiety that comes with sitting in darkness for extended periods. My recommendation is multiple lanterns placed throughout your home, one for the main living area, one for the kitchen, and one for each bedroom. Having distributed lighting means your family can maintain normal activities instead of huddling together in one room. Item 2. Portable power bank. Portable power banks keep your phones, tablets, and small devices charged when wall outlets stop working, but most people drastically underestimate their power needs during blackouts. During our county-wide outage, phones became the primary connection to the outside world for news updates, emergency services, and family communication. But phone batteries drain quickly when they're constantly searching for cell towers and being used more heavily than normal. A typical smartphone battery holds about 3,000 to 4,000 milliamp hours of power. A quality power bank holds 20,000 to 30,000 milliamp hours, which means 6 to 8 full phone charges from a single power bank. For a 3-day blackout, that's barely adequate for one person's communication needs. Phones provide flashlight capability, weather updates, emergency broadcasts, and navigation if you need to leave your area. Stock multiple power banks and keep them charged for extended blackout situations. Item 3. Manual can opener. This might sound almost embarrassingly basic, but a reliable manual can opener becomes essential within hours of losing power. Electric can openers don't work during blackouts, and most people discover they don't have a working manual backup when they need to access canned food. During our blackout, canned foods became the primary meal source because refrigerated items spoiled and cooking options were limited. Having canned food means nothing if you can't open the cans reliably when you're hungry and stressed. The quality factor is critical here. Cheap manual can openers often break under normal use, and they'll definitely fail when you're dealing with multiple cans per day during an extended blackout. Having two reliable manual can openers means you're protected if one breaks or gets misplaced. Item 4. Battery-powered radio communication and information become absolutely critical during extended blackouts. But internet and television don't work without power. Battery-powered radios provide access to news, weather updates, and emergency broadcasts when other communication methods fail. During our 72-hour outage, the radio became our primary source of information about power restoration efforts, road conditions, and emergency services availability. Local radio stations provided updates that weren't available through other channels, including locations of cooling centers and charging stations. NOAA weather radio capability is essential for emergency planning. Severe weather often causes power outages, and you need advance warning about additional storms or dangerous conditions that could make your situation worse. Choose radios with multiple power options: batteries for immediate use, hand crank for emergency charging, and solar charging for extended runtime. Having redundant power options means communication capability regardless of how long the blackout lasts. Item 5. Water storage containers. Water supply becomes a serious concern during extended blackouts because electric pumps can't maintain water pressure and treatment facilities may shut down. Having water storage capability means your family stays hydrated regardless of utility disruptions. During blackouts, you're likely using more water than normal for cleaning, cooking, and hygiene because normal conveniences aren't available. Plus, stress increases fluid needs, especially for children and elderly family members. The storage math is important for planning purposes. 1 gallon per person per day covers basic drinking needs, but you need additional water for cooking, cleaning, and hygiene. For a family of 4 during a 3-day blackout, you're looking at 20+ gallons of water storage. Store water in food-grade containers and rotate your supply periodically to ensure freshness. Consider multiple storage methods: some large containers for cooking and cleaning, plus individual bottles for drinking and portability. Item 6. Insulated coolers with ice packs. Here's item number 6, something that literally kept one family's medication cold for 3 days without any power, potentially saving someone's life. Quality coolers with reusable ice packs provide refrigeration capability when electrical power isn't available. During blackouts, food spoilage becomes a serious problem within 4 to 6 hours as refrigerators lose their cooling capacity. But certain medications, baby formula, and essential foods require refrigeration to remain safe and effective. High-quality coolers with thick insulation can maintain refrigeration temperatures for days when properly loaded with adequate ice packs. This extends food safety and medication viability significantly. Reusable ice packs work better than regular ice for extended blackouts. Ice melts and creates water that can damage food packaging, while gel ice packs maintain temperature without creating mess. Pre-freeze multiple ice packs and rotate them as needed. Item 7. Non-perishable food supply. Extended blackouts eliminate your ability to cook normally and spoil refrigerated foods quickly. Having non-perishable foods that require minimal or no cooking means your family eats well regardless of power availability. The food selection matters for both nutrition and morale during blackouts. Energy bars provide calories, but they don't provide the psychological comfort of real meals. Canned soups, pasta with sauce, and other complete meals maintain family morale during stressful times. Focus on foods that can be eaten cold or require minimal heating. Include proteins, carbohydrates, fruits, and vegetables in shelf-stable forms to maintain balanced nutrition when fresh foods aren't available. Store foods that your family actually enjoys eating. Emergency food supplies should consist of familiar flavors that people will eat willingly, not just survival calories that nobody wants to consume. Item 8. First aid supplies. Medical needs don't pause during blackouts, but access to medical care may be limited when emergency services are overwhelmed. Having comprehensive first aid supplies means handling minor injuries and health issues without professional medical help. During blackouts, injury risks increase because people are moving around in unfamiliar lighting conditions, using alternative cooking methods, and dealing with equipment they don't normally use. Burns, cuts, and falls become more common when normal safety systems aren't available. The first aid kit needs to handle more than basic cuts and scratches. Include burn treatment for cooking accidents, pain medication for headaches and injuries, and supplies for treating larger wounds that might occur during blackout activities. Include emergency contact information and medical history documents with first aid supplies. Having backup supplies of essential medications means maintaining health when normal medical services are disrupted. Item 9. Emergency cash. Electronic payment systems don't work without electricity, which means credit cards, ATMs, and digital payments become useless during extended blackouts. Having emergency cash means you can make necessary purchases when electronic payment options aren't available. During our blackout, the few stores that remained open were cash only because their electronic payment systems couldn't process cards. Families without cash couldn't buy ice, batteries, or other emergency supplies, even when they found stores with inventory. The denomination mix matters for practical purchasing during blackouts. Small bills provide exact change capability for emergency purchases, while larger bills work for significant expenses like hotel rooms if you need to relocate to areas with power. Having enough cash to cover food, fuel, and accommodation for several days provides flexibility when normal payment methods aren't working. Consider the types of purchases you might need to make during blackouts: ice, batteries, fuel, food, and temporary accommodation. Item 10. Matches and fire. Starting materials. Fire becomes essential during extended blackouts for cooking, heating, and light when other systems fail. Having reliable fire-starting materials means you can create controlled fire safely when you need cooking capability or emergency warmth. During blackouts, alternative cooking methods become necessary as electric stoves, microwaves, and other appliances stop working. Gas stoves may still function if they have manual ignition, but you need reliable ignition sources to light them safely. Waterproof matches work in damp conditions that might disable regular matches. During extended blackouts, humidity and moisture can make fire starting difficult, but waterproof matches provide reliable ignition regardless of conditions. Fire safety becomes even more critical during blackouts when emergency services may be delayed or unavailable. Having proper fire extinguishing materials nearby and understanding safe fire practices prevents dangerous situations. Item 11. Battery-powered fan. Here's item 11, something that costs under $10, but provides a capability that most people don't even think about until they desperately need it during a blackout emergency. Battery-powered fans provide air circulation and cooling when air conditioning systems fail. During summer blackouts, temperatures inside homes can become dangerous quickly without air conditioning or ventilation fans. Battery-powered fans provide personal cooling and air circulation that can prevent heat-related illness, especially for elderly family members and young children. The cooling effect comes from air movement across the skin, which helps with evaporative cooling and makes high temperatures more tolerable. Even small amounts of air circulation can make significant differences in comfort and safety during hot weather blackouts. Multiple fans allow you to provide cooling for different family members in various locations throughout your home. Having personal cooling capability means everyone stays comfortable even when central air conditioning isn't available. The blackout reality. The families who handle blackouts successfully aren't the ones with the most expensive equipment. They're the ones who understand what actually goes wrong when the power goes out and have specific items that solve those problems effectively. These 11 items address the core challenges that arise during extended blackouts: lighting, communication, food preparation, cooling, refrigeration, safety, and basic comfort. Having these items means maintaining normal living standards when electrical systems fail. The key is having these items ready before you need them. Blackouts happen without warning, and stores may be closed or cleaned out of essential supplies once the outage begins. The bottom line: these 11 emergency items transform blackouts from disasters into manageable inconveniences. They're not expensive or complicated, but they solve the specific problems that make power outages dangerous and uncomfortable for unprepared families. The goal isn't preparing for the end of the world. The goal is to have basic items that work when the electricity doesn't, so your family maintains comfort, safety, and normalcy during temporary infrastructure failures that happen regularly across the country. Blackouts are inevitable, but suffering through them isn't. Having these 11 items means your family will be comfortable, safe, and well-fed while your neighbors struggle with preventable problems in the dark. If this list helped you understand what really matters during blackouts, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I'm constantly researching emergency preparedness, analyzing infrastructure failures, and learning from families who've successfully handled disaster situations. Drop a comment telling me about your blackout experiences, or share which items from this list you think would help your family most. Your insights help other families understand what actually matters when the lights go out. Remember, the goal isn't living in fear of blackouts. The goal is to be prepared so your family has options and stays comfortable when power grids fail. Your future self will thank you for having these items ready before the next blackout hits your neighborhood. The smart families are the ones who prepare for common problems before they happen. Get these 11 items now, and you'll handle the next blackout like a champion while everyone else wishes they had prepared better.